Good morning, everybody. I'm so excited to be here with everyone today. Please stand and join us in worship. Where you go, I'll go. Where you stay, I'll stay. When you move, I'll move. I will follow. All your ways are good. All your ways are true. I will trust in you alone. Higher than my side, high above my life. I will trust in you alone, in you alone. Where you go, I'll go. Where you stay, I'll stay. When you move, I'll move. I will follow you. You love, I'll love. How you serve, I'll serve. If this life I live, I will follow you. Yeah, I will follow you. Yeah. Light unto the world, light unto my life. I will live for you alone. You're the one I see, knowing I will find. All I need in you alone, in you alone. Where you go, I'll go. Where you stay, I'll stay. When you move, I'll move. I will follow you. Who you love, I'll love. How you serve, I'll serve. If this life I lose, I will follow you. Yeah, I will follow you. Yeah. In you there's life everlasting. In you there's freedom for my soul. In you there's joy, unending joy. And I will follow. Where you go, I'll go. Where you stay, I'll stay. When you move, I'll move. I will follow you. Who you love, I'll love. How you serve, I'll serve. If this life I live, I will follow. Where you go, I'll go. Where you stay, I'll stay. When you move, I'll move. I will follow you. Who you love, I'll love. How you serve, I'll serve. If this life I live, I will follow you. Yeah, I will follow you. Yeah, I will follow you. Yeah, I will follow you. Yeah. Let's go ahead and take a few moments and share the love of Christ with those around you.
us in the foyer and pick up a free gift. And please stand and join us in the national worship.
Seated above, enthroned in the Father's love, destined to die, poured out for
Well, I invite you to look into your Bibles to Luke chapter 19. This is where we will pick up our study through Luke. And today's being Palm Sunday. And for many of you, you know that is Palm Sunday is that day in which Jesus descended from the Mount of Olives into Jerusalem, riding on a colt, coming in to Jerusalem for the last time, coming into Jerusalem. And he's coming with a very specific purpose and reason, and he has shared that reason with his disciples and his followers, and they're not getting it. They're just not getting it. But everybody's excited, and they're excited. They have these expectations, and, we read it, and we get excited, too, when we think about Palm Sunday, and, they're throwing down their outer garments and putting them on the ground, and shouting out, "Blessed is the King who comes in the name of the Lord." And which is a really appropriate thing to be saying in the moment. Because Jesus is our King. He is the King of kings and Lord of lords, and he is worthy of all of our worship. So when the Pharisees were there and they hear this spectacle being made, they're like, "Oh, whoa, Jesus, man, you got to talk to your people. You got to get them to calm down." Jesus' response was, "I tell you, if these people were silent, the rocks would cry out." That's how glorious this occasion is. He's worthy of the worship that he's receiving, but there's so much more to the story because he's coming in, and we just sang the song "Peace Be Still," which is so appropriate. Because Jesus is our peace, and that's the reality is Jesus is the only source of peace. He's coming in as King, the one who brings peace, and yet they missed it. Isn't that true of us? Sometimes we get real excited about who Jesus is, and we can worship him, and we can praise him, and we enjoy getting together and singing praises. We can enjoy getting together and reflecting on Jesus and who he is, but we forget that he is also our source of peace. Because what happens when we come in, even when we gather every Sunday, oftentimes we're bringing our problems with us, which actually is okay because Jesus wants us to bring our problems with us. However, he wants us then to lay them at the altar. He wants us, when we recognize who he is, to let those things and realize that, wait a minute, he's the King of kings and Lord of lords. He's the one who has come into the world. He's the one who brings salvation. He's the one who has saved me, and so now my problems, they still exist, but they mean nothing in comparison to who Jesus is. We can get caught up in the moment. We can get caught up in the singing. We can get caught up in the praise, and we can enjoy those things, but when the moment's over, we go right back to the problems of our life. We forget that he is our peace. Jesus comes in, and even in this, when we celebrate his coming in, coming into Jerusalem, we celebrate that triumphal entry, which Jesus was worthy of all of the praise that he was receiving, but the reality is for Jesus, the joy didn't last very long. Because it says this in verse 41. "And when he drew near and saw the city, he wept over it." Here he is. He's coming down the Mount of Olives. He's coming down off this hill, and he sees Jerusalem there, and he's coming up to it, and he sees the city before his eyes, and he weeps. And here's the reason he was weeping. He said, "Would that you, even you, had known on this day the things that make for peace. But now they are hidden from your eyes. For the days will come upon you when your enemies will set up a barricade around you and surround you and hem you in on every side and tear you down to the ground, you and your children with you. And they will not leave one stone on another in you, because you did not know the time of your visitation." We celebrate, and we should celebrate this. I've said over the last couple of weeks, this is my favorite time of year. For every believer in Jesus Christ, there should be something very special about this time of year. And so the whole story, reflected on every aspect of the story, is like, oh wow, it's so meaningful. There's something there because we know what is going to happen. We know because we have the story. I'm always, for those who don't know, most of you do, I'm a history buff. And when I'm reading history and I'm looking at these events and thinking about these things, I always wonder, because I see how different people respond and what their response are to the circumstances at different times in history. And I always wonder, what would I have done if I'd have been there? What side would I have followed on this issue or that issue? Where would I be? What kind of person? Of course, being from Texas, I always wondered what kind of cowboy. Would I have been the guy in the white hat or the black hat? Get thee behind me, Satan. But I wonder, and I see these things, but even when I read Scripture, I do the same thing. Wow. If I was one of the disciples, where would I have fallen? Would I just be one of those who you didn't hear them say a whole lot, but when the time came, they ran? Would I be just like the rest of them who, when he was very specifically saying, I'm going to Jerusalem to suffer and die? And as we looked at it, it said they did not understand. Would I have been one of those who did not understand, that just couldn't get it? Would I have been like Peter that said, oh, no, not going to let that happen, Jesus. No matter who it is, no matter how many they sinned, I'm going to be there. I'm going to fight. I will die for you. See, it's easy for us because we have the full story. We've got this part of the story for us is complete. We don't have to speculate on it. It's all here. It's all true. So we see these things and we think about it in this whole big context, and I like to think about it in, what about the people who were there? What were they thinking in those moments? Because I've discovered that oftentimes the things that I think they may have been thinking, we oftentimes think the same things even though we have the completed story. I think sometimes we have doubts about what Jesus is saying. We don't understand what he is saying because we're too caught up in our own life. I think sometimes peace is hidden from us when it shouldn't be. You say, well, they were with Jesus, so they should have got it. They didn't have the completed story. We do, and we still don't get it. We still don't get it sometimes. There's just so much that we overlook. So the rejoicing over his entry just could not erase the heaviness of his heart. His desire that they knew the things that make for peace. So here's what they wanted. The majority of them, you know what they wanted? To be free from Roman rule. And it's like, yeah, I get that. Yeah, there again, I try to put myself in that situation and be like, yeah, I don't like it when Carolyn rules over me. So it's like, but the reality is, it's like, no, honestly, I don't like it when anybody tries to rule over me. I don't know if you've ever picked up on that or not. Some of you say, oh, I've had people say, Pastor, you just want your way. Well, if you were in our adult Bible class this morning, I explained it from a theological perspective to everybody. And here's what it was. I am right. It's just this prison that I live in. And the reality is we think that. So the reality, oh no, why? They want to be responsible for themselves. They don't want to have to be answerable to somebody who's over them. They want freedom from that. And here's part of, I believe a big part of the reason they want freedom from Roman rule is because they're having to pay out. They're having to work hard and give part of what they have worked hard for, part of what they're trying to build a life, and the Roman authorities keep getting in the way because they have to pay their taxes. They have to follow the rules that they wouldn't normally follow if they weren't there. They have to do things their way, and they're trying to build their own life. Oh, wait a minute. Isn't that what we are doing? We're trying to build our own life. Too many times, that's we get caught up in the same thing of trying to build our own life. The reality is peace is a universal desire. It wasn't just, Jesus didn't look down and see Jerusalem, and it's not like he's saying they and they alone didn't know the things that make for peace. When he says that they didn't know the things that make for peace, he didn't say they didn't have a desire to have peace. They did. They were just looking at the wrong things and for the wrong things for peace. And we too, I suspect, and we could, everyone in this room, peace is something that you desire. No one likes living in chaos. We stress, we get upset, it's like, wow, what's going to happen, man? Why? Because my life is chaotic. No one and you know why there's so much chaos in the world? Because most of the time, we just keep adding to the chaos. We look around and we see that the world's chaotic, and so we just add to the chaos rather than looking to Jesus, who is our peace. It's not that they didn't want peace. They didn't know the things that made for peace. Because people have long mistaken what was necessary for peace. So some people believe that financial success, that's peace. Now, you may not say it like that, but you probably have this thought often. I wish I had the money to what? To do something that you feel like would help bring peace to your life. So I wish I had the money to buy a car, buy a better car, buy a house, buy a better house. I wish I had the money to go on a vacation. I wish I had the money to get away. I wish I had the money that I could escape from all of my problems and all the things and all the chaos and all these things. And if I just had, and you know, then we get sick. Oh, I wish I had the money. I wish I had, so I could go, because, you know, I see, you know, because, you know, we have mentioned a lot over the last few days, our friends are here, and the reality is the body starts breaking down. And see, I see people, and I see these athletes on TV that have some of the same problems that I have. And the treatment that they're getting is different than the treatment that I'm getting. Well, that's because they got the money to get whatever treatment they want to get. Oh, man, I wish I just had the money that I could get the treatment that they're getting. We look for those things. So we think there's this. The idea is we may not readily say, oh, well, that's not peace. That's just reality. We want the chaos in our life. We think that money will help us to have food, shelter, and clothing. So, which is provision. the things that we feel like we're entitled to or need or want in life. And Jesus says, I'm the one who'll supply all your needs. I'm the one who'll supply all your needs. So you don't need more money. Well, that's one of the beautiful lessons that Paul learned that is so stinking hard to learn. No matter what state I'm in, I've learned to be content. Rich or poor, doesn't matter. I've learned to be content. Wow, sometimes that's what's missing because we don't have that. And we're looking for something other than Jesus Christ to be our provider. We're also sometimes looking for things to help protect us in life. We need protection in life. And we look for something other than Jesus Christ for our protection. We want when He is our strength. Well, we think we need strength, so we try to put ourselves in a position to protect ourselves. We try to create our own, maybe that is a financial situation, so I can protect myself. I'll have this financial strength. Sometimes it's a physical strength. Whatever it is, I need this protection. And so we do these things. Because we understand that health is a real thing. Security, real thing. Our reputation, it's a real thing. They got all these things out there now that online that you can buy that's supposed to help protect your reputation. You got to buy. You got to buy all this stuff to protect your identity. And we look at all those things because we need protection. We also look to things to provide peace through presence. We look for, so why do we get married? How many got married because there wasn't enough chaos in your life? The reality is there's this idea, oh man, we're going to get married and it's going to be great. This is especially when I'm doing premarital counseling with young people. They come in, they're so much fun. They are so confused. Oh man, we're in love. And so, Pastor, it doesn't matter what you tell us. We are in love, and love conquers all. Maybe, listen, our love is different than everybody else that has ever got married before us. Yeah, right. But there is something about that. And we were built for relationships. So it's like we want these things. Now, here's what you have to understand. You're like, man, Pastor, you're just making everything sound horrible and evil. And these are a lot of things that are in my life. No, they're not horrible and they're not evil. Those are blessings from God. The relationships that we have in our life, the marriage relationship between a parent and a child, the relationship between friends, the relationship between believers, those are blessings from God. To be able to have the resources, to be able to buy food, to be able to have stuff to live in a way that provides some kind of protection. We have security cameras and all these things. Listen, that's protection from God. Unless we take God out of the equation. Unless we think it's those things that make for peace and not God Himself. That's where the problem comes in. We have these things. We're looking the wrong way. We have semblances of peace, an appearance of peace, but it's not the real thing. It's just not the real thing. So, what Jesus is saying is those who are there in Jerusalem, their semblances of peace was hiding them from what was right before their eyes. True peace found in him. And as a result of their pursuit of the semblances of peace, destruction was going to come. This is his first message to be delivered when he gets into Jerusalem. And this is why his heart is so heavy. Because there was no peace. I'll reference back when we started this, and I know most of you won't remember it. Either you weren't here, or the ones who were here, this was longer than 2 days ago, so you're not going to remember it. It actually would have been back first week in December. We were talking about John the Baptist and his prophecy in Luke, his father's prophecy in Luke chapter 1. Because of the tender mercy of our God, whereby the sunrise shall visit us from on high to give light to those who sit in darkness and in the shadow of death, to guide our feet into the way of peace. The Messiah was coming, who was going to guide our feet into the way of peace, and yet still we don't know the way of peace. So to instruct them, he's going to tell them a parable to help them to understand, because they would think in their own hearts and their own minds, oh, we know what's necessary for peace. We're just struggling obtaining it. But one day we'll be free from Roman rule. We think our plan will work. We think the life that we're trying to build is the answer sometimes, and that's what they thought. So he's going to tell this parable, and the parable is nothing but a fictitious story. The parable has true things in it, but the parable itself is not truth. It's just a story. But it's brought alongside truth. So we look at those things and see what the truth is when we see this real story. In Luke chapter 20, verse 9, it says, he began to tell the people this parable. A man planted a vineyard and let it out to the tenants and went into another country for a while. So here's the fictitious part of the story. There was this man who planted a vineyard. Now, there were men who planted vineyards all the time, so they're able to relate to that. They knew what that was. For us, we don't think of planting vineyards. In our area, there was this man. If Jesus was telling this parable today, he would probably say it like this. There was this man who planted corn. Well, depending on what year it is, he may have been planting beans. I don't know. But he was planting something. They would have related to that. They would have understood. They would have pictured the things that were taking place. So the truth that comes alongside this is, who's the man? The man in this story is God. Now, we know that God is not man, but Jesus Christ was the God-man. But here is, the story is there's a man. The truth is there is a God. And then in this story, there's tenants. These are the people who were given a responsibility to care for the vineyard that the man had planted, and on behalf of the owner. That was their responsibility, to manage the vineyard in the way that the owner wanted them to manage it. So the truth in that is, who are the tenants? Everyone that God created. Everyone that God created. So in this parable, the story is this man plants a vineyard. The truth is God created the heavens and the earth. And he's given man this responsibility to live in his creation according to his desires and according to what brings him glory. And that's what, when you plant. I mean, Dave, have you ever planted? and said, I don't really care what happens. The corn can do whatever the corn wants to do. The beans can do whatever the beans want to do. You always plant with this idea that the corn is going to produce what you want it to produce, and the beans are going to produce what you want it to produce. Doesn't always work that way, though, does it? Just like it doesn't always work that way with us and God. We just don't. He created us for a purpose. He created each one of us for His purposes, for His glory, to be in this relationship with Him. He didn't create us to create our own life. He didn't create us to do what we want to do. He created us to bring glory to Him. He has given us a purpose. And He wanted to enjoy that relationship with us. Excuse me for a second while I continue this conversation with David. Do you like it when the corn does what you want it to do and the beans do what you want it to, what you want them to do? Very much. Brings you joy, doesn't it? Yes. How joyful are you when the corn and the beans don't do what you want them to do? It's been a long time since the corn and beans have done what David wanted them to do. He created us to be in relationship with Him. It would bring Him joy, but it would also bring us joy. We would know peace. We are blessed by His creation. He has given it to us. And all these things that we look to and we have in this life are a blessing from Him. But we forget sometimes that we were created by Him and for Him. So he goes on with the story. Verse 10. When the time came, he sent a servant to the tenants so that they would give him some of the fruit of the vineyard. But the tenants beat him and sent him away empty-handed. And he sent another servant, but they also beat and treated him shamefully and sent him away empty-handed. And he sent yet a third. And this one also they wounded and cast out. See, now, I'm just going to be honest. This part of the parable, it's a little concerning to me because you understand what's going on here, because in the story there's these three servants who are sent to gather up the fruit of the vineyard. Here's the truth behind that, the part of the parable. That would be, these servants represent prophets. And today, those would have been in the Old Testament. Today, it would be anyone who's called to deliver the gospel of peace that comes through Jesus Christ. And so here's the part that I'm not real fond of, because, listen, God has placed a call upon my life. He's placed a call upon your life. My call may look a little different than your call, but the purpose in it is the same, to share the gospel of peace of Jesus Christ. And what happened? What happened to the servants? All three of them got beat. And the beatings just kept getting worse. And the response just kept getting worse. And this is the thing that is going on here. The story says they were to gather the fruit. The truth is that people being reconciled to God, to live in relationship with Him, would be the fruit that was gathered. And when it comes to the beatings that were taking place, we know that that's part of the parable. The truth is, people battle against God's efforts to reveal Himself to them. We don't want to know sometimes the way of peace. We want to take the blessings that God has given us and use them the way we want to use them. And when God tries to bring somebody along sometimes to show us that, hey, what you're doing is not right, the reality is we get a little angry over that. And the world gets a little angry. I think most of you would agree, what we see in our society and is that in our society used to be when I talk about our society, America used to be a safe haven for Christians. Used to be. Now, I don't feel deeply threatened. It's changing. They're getting a little put out. They're starting to, in other countries, they've experienced this for a long time, but for us, that's not really what has happened. You know, I've talked about, we used to go, and Judy, I think you were part of this, the faith program we did in Abilene, and what did we do? Door to door. Just knocking on people's doors that were just complete strangers. I'm here, I'm a tenant of the owner, and I'm here to gather the fruit. Now, we didn't actually say it that way. But that was technically what we're doing, is we wanted to just talk to them and share this gospel of peace. And it's not that everybody was receptive to it, because many people were not receptive to it. It was rare to get people that were just mad. You know why we don't do that anymore? It's not rare to get people who are just mad. The first time we did it here, when I came here the first time, when I sent people out, I came back and they were telling me these stories. I mean, they were frightened because of the things that had taken place. And I was like, well, maybe it wasn't that bad. And then I started getting phone calls. How dare you? How dare you send somebody out to share the gospel of peace? That's the truth in the story. So the story continues in verse 13. The owner of the vineyard said, what shall I do? I will send my beloved son. Perhaps they will respect him. So in the parable, the owner has a son. The truth is, God has a son. His only begotten son, who he sent into this world. Perhaps people would respond to him. And here's the ugly truth in the story in verse 14. When the tenants saw him, they said to themselves, this is the heir. Let us kill him so that our inheritance may be ours. And they threw him out of the vineyard and killed him, that when the will of the owner of the vineyard. So what then will the owner of the vineyard do to them? So he tells this story, and they said, hey, here's the heir, here's the son. If we kill him, then the inheritance is going to be ours. And so they did exactly what they wanted to do, and then the commentary on it is, okay, so this is the parable. So now what is the owner of the vineyard going to do? And it's a rational question. They killed the son because they wanted the vineyard for themselves. The truth is, people had Jesus killed because they want their own life, their own idea of peace, their own idea of freedom. Freedom from God, not freedom with God. That's what people want. Because they believe that will give them peace. See, today people don't physically kill Jesus because Jesus has already died. And we looked at, even in our adult Bible class this morning, Jesus, his death, one-time thing, sufficient for all time. Sufficient for... The reality is, the death of Jesus was such a powerful act of God that all who believe, even today, can still be saved, can still find forgiveness, can still be restored in a relationship to the owner, to their Creator. But today, people still break Jesus' heart just like they did then. Something that you might be able to relate to. Unfortunately, too many of you can relate to. where someone in a relationship just completely turns their back on you. They haven't killed you physically, but they've killed you emotionally and in every other way. And that's what people are doing to Jesus today. They're saying that listen, I don't need you because all these blessings, all these things that are in the world that God created and everything, that I can use all this stuff. I can use the money. I can use these things. I can use the people. I can use the relationships. I can create my own world the way I want it to be. I don't need you, God. I'm going to do my own thing. I'll create the life that I want. And the way of peace is hidden from us. Because those things that God has given us as blessings in this world, and Scripture teaches us that, God blesses even the lost. And that is self-evident. Sometimes it makes Christians a little angry, and it should not. Because here's what happened. There's a whole lot of lost people had plenty to eat this morning. And when I don't know how many farmers in our area are saved and how many are lost. Here's what I know. They all benefit from the rain. Those are the blessings in life. We all have these blessings in life. The difference is, what am I going to do with the blessings and the things that God has given me in this life? Is it going to take me to where I appreciate and want to now recognize His Son, Jesus Christ, who He sent into the world? Because the world turned their back on God. And I turned my back on God, and you turned your back on God. I don't know, I've never turned my back on God. I've always been a pretty decent person. But we all sin. We all sin. We all want to do life our own way. We all want to take the things that God created and use them for our own purpose. We all want to find at times a relationship that will give us that presence that doesn't include God. We sin. We're born in sin, and we want to sin because we want life to be our way. We want what we want. As sinners, that doesn't include honoring God. Or maybe just giving lip service once in a while. Maybe just go to church once in a while. Maybe just say, oh, no, I believe in God. I know there's a God. But we truly do not fulfill that which God has created us to do, and we're incapable of fulfilling that which God created us to do because of the sin. That's the reason Jesus Christ is coming into Jerusalem in the story. So that He can die on the cross, making it possible for the tenants to be able to glorify their Creator, to fulfill the purpose in which we are created, because sin keeps us from fulfilling the purpose for which we were created. This is the part of the story that we're like, I just, people will look at and no. Especially today. More and more people, as just like with in the story where they kept coming and the people's response became more severe each time. The reality today is the response of so many lost people is, nope, there's those Christians again. Let me tell you, the truth has not changed. We can change the fictitious story to put it in today, so we can talk about farmers today and put them there so we can relate to that. But the reality is, when it comes to the truth of all of us being sinners, when it comes to the truth of all of us falling short of the glory of God, when it comes to the truth that Jesus is the only way, the truth, and the life. And no one can come to the Father. No one can come to the Creator. No one can come to God. No one can please God without faith in Jesus Christ. And yet that part of the story gets more offensive all the time. But we who have believed have this responsibility to be ambassadors of Christ and continue to tell people the reality is, as Christians, here's the part of it, just like David said, man, he has great joy when his crops do exactly what he wants them and planted them to do. And God has great joy. He is pleased when we live our lives by faith in him. And if we're living our lives by faith in him, we're not really concerned that people get upset with us. We have this joy in our life. They ought to see that joy. But here's the reality. Too many Christians today are not living like they have a real joy in Jesus Christ. It's like we have forgotten the things that make for peace. We have returned back to the things that the world has said, this is what makes for peace. And we're like, you know what? Maybe the world has something there. It has turned upside down. The world should be looking at us and saying, hey, maybe they have something there. Maybe there's something about the kind of peace that they have. It looks like they have a peace that surpasses my understanding. I don't get it because I see that they live in the same world that I live in, and yet there is a real joy and a happiness in their life. How can that be? But the world is seeing less and less of that because too many Christians have said, you know what? I think the semblance of peace that the world has sounds pretty good. Maybe that is something that would benefit me. When the question is asked, what will the owner do? Well, the holy God will do what is just. And he will always do what is just. And verse 16 says, he will come and destroy those tenants and give the vineyard to others. And when they heard this, they said, surely not. The truth is, God's going to come and he's going to judge. And we all will stand before him. We will all give an account. Every knee at some point will bow. And so today the world would say, oh, well, that's not my truth. I'll let you in on a little secret. It's not my truth either. But it is God's truth. And here's the thing about truth. There's only one. There's only one truth. So you can say your truth is true all you want to. But if your truth varies from God's truth, well, it's not true. You know, y'all hear me get up here all the time, brag about stuff. Because I fully expect you to forgive me. What? The Cowboys. Yeah. I mean, I knew at some point he's going to say something about the Cowboys. Because here's my truth. Man, love the Cowboys. This could be their year. You laugh, but that is my truth. Because that's what I want to be true. But it's not about football. It's not about sports and the trivial things of life, because they really are trivial. There's something bigger at play here. Why are you here? Why are you here? Not here in this place right now. Not why are you here at New Life Baptist Church this morning. There may be some of you out there thinking, that's exactly the question I've been asking. No. Why are you here? Why do you exist? Why did God create this world, and why did he put you in this world when he created this world? Why are you part of God's design? And in that, there's only one truth. And that's what makes for peace. That's what makes for peace with God. And the reason Jesus had so much sorrow when he came in this glorious moment, full of worship and praise, and he starts weeping and he starts crying, because they didn't know the way, the things that make for peace. And even at hearing this story, there's like, and this is the way people respond today, oh wait, no, surely not. Listen, okay, you know what? I may not be perfect, but surely not. Listen, I am not some lunatic, crazy, murderer, horrible person. I don't hurt anybody. Surely the Creator will accept me and my truth, in my way of living, in the life that I want, in the life that I want to be true, in the things that I want to be true. Why doesn't the Creator just let me have it? I'm the one that's down here living this life. Why doesn't he just let me do what I want to do? And as long as I don't go off the deep end with it, why can't he just be satisfied with that? So people change the truth. Oh, I think he'll be okay. Surely not. He's not going to destroy me. He's not going to make me give an account. He would not. God didn't create hell. How could God, who's love, create hell? Because he's just and he's holy. He created us with a purpose. You know, the sad part is they were at peace with their choices. That's the reason they needed to get rid of the sun, because they were at peace with their choices. And that has not changed. Today, people are still at peace with their choices. They choose not to follow Christ. They choose not to live the life that God has created them for. And they are at peace with that. But there's coming a time where those semblances of peace will fail. They will fail. And we try so hard to hold on to them. We try so hard to get the things in this world to provide for us what we want. We try so hard to create protections around us that will help us maintain the things that we accomplish. We try so hard to have relationships that will be meaningful and will last, and yet none of that will last forever. Because only Jesus can provide what we need. Because what we need is salvation. What we need is to be reconciled to God. And only Jesus is great enough to protect us from all that is in the world, the sin and the destruction. And only Jesus can protect us from these things. Only Jesus is greater than the one who is in the world. Only Jesus can give us peace and comfort by his presence. To know that he is there. To know that I have a relationship with him. That's the reason the world ought to look at us and say, what is it? Why do you have so much joy? I have the presence of Christ. You get up this morning, man, his mercies were new this morning. Listen, for the believers who are here this morning, have you talked to him yet today? Have you just spent time with him today? So I didn't need to talk to him because I was coming to church. I got to tell you, he's not that impressed. He was waiting. He was waiting for you this morning to acknowledge his mercies and his grace and his presence and his protection and his peace. And that's where the joy comes in. That's where we realize there is something more. Jesus was coming in, and we want to come and we want to worship him, but the reality is our worship is not true sometimes because we're still holding on. And as soon as we leave the church service, we're going to go back out and hold on to things that do not make for peace. And they're going to be more important to us. And we can leave here and we can go out and we can worship those things the rest of the week. And then we can come back here next Sunday. Right? And we can do it all again. Right? And we can praise and worship Jesus one more time and say, "Yay, God! Behold the King! Behold the King!" All right, well, that's over. Let's go. What time do we eat? What time? Pastor, you almost done? I got to go to Chicago. The semblances of peace, the peace that we seek, those semblances aren't going to give us peace. Even worse, they actually can be the things that take us away from God. They're the things that keep people from God to begin with, but it's also the things that even as Christians who have found peace with God, it's so easy for us to start wondering if, wait a minute, I ought to have some of those semblances. I could have more peace if I just had more of the stuff that the world's holding on to. But you cannot. We need him. I heard this on the radio this week. If a blessing takes you away from God, it's no longer a blessing. It's an idol. And we think those idols are going to be what makes for peace. That's why we hold on to them. So what are you holding on to? You know, what is it? What is it about this parable, or not the parable? What is it about the truth of this story? If you're here and you don't have peace with God that only comes through Jesus Christ, it doesn't come by you saying you're at peace with God. You can say all day long you're at peace with God, and that you can say, well, that's my truth. Here's what God said. Not everyone who says to me, Lord, that's true. You saying you are at peace with God does not make you at peace with God. Only Jesus Christ can give you peace with God. You have to believe Him. You have to surrender to Him as the one who pays the price for your sin on the cross, that He died for your sin, and that in Him and Him alone is salvation going to be found. So when I say this, if you are here and you don't have salvation, if you're not at peace with God, let me just ask you, what do you expect the owner to do? What do you expect God to do? How do you expect? You expect Him. Do you expect Him to just give you what you want? Doesn't that then make you the God? If your truth trumps God's truth, well, doesn't that make you the God? Because both things can't be true. The time you have two things and they conflict with each other, here's what you know. Only one of them is true. And if your truth conflicts with God's truth, and you're going to hold on to that, then what you're saying is, you are God. You are the God of your life. And not even that is true. Because we will all give a judgment. We will all give an account. We will all face that judgment, whether or not we have placed our faith in Jesus Christ. We will all, even then as Christians, we will all give an account of the things that we've done in this life. And you know what that account, as Christians, you know what that account is going to be about? You know what I believe deeply is going to be the things that we've done in this life as Christians when we stand in that judgment as Christians, as believers. The non-believers won't be there. Their judgment is the destruction that he talks about. But for our judgment, he's going to weigh that. For you, as a believer in Jesus Christ, he's going to weigh what you have done, and you will give an account. You won't face eternal damnation, but what you will face is you will give an account, and it's because you are holding on to something else, thinking that it was going to bring some kind of value to your life. And the question for you is the same as the question I have for those who don't believe. What do you expect the owner to do? And when you hear God's truth that you're going to give an account, is there something in your mind that says, surely not? Not going to happen, Pastor. I just don't believe it. Those have been some of the saddest words I hear from time to time. I don't believe God's truth. Why? Why? Is it because you want the inheritance for yourself? You want your life to be what you want your life to be. And you don't want God to be a part of it? Is that the reason why? There's only one truth. Jesus came into the world because there's only one truth, because there's only one God. And there's only one way to God, and that's through Him. This is the message that Jesus delivers shortly before His death. This is the message that He wanted to leave people with. He said this in John 14:27. Peace I leave with you. My peace I give to you. Not as the world gives do I give to you. Not like the things that you see, the semblances of peace that the world offers out there. Not the stuff that you've been looking for. If there's a lack of joy in your life as a Christian, I'm telling you, you're holding on to something that does not make for peace. Jesus Christ will make for peace. Get back into that relationship with Him. Follow Him. Trust Him. He'll give you peace. The world's not going to give you peace. It's just going to keep getting more chaotic. Jesus gives peace. He is our peace. And when He is our peace, He says, let not your hearts be troubled, neither let them be afraid. Because He is peace. So the question this morning, do you have peace? I'm not asking if you want peace. I just kind of assume. I think it's a safe assumption. Everybody here would like to have peace. But do you have peace? So if you're someone who doesn't have a relationship with God that only comes through Jesus Christ, doesn't come through your ideas of what you want God to be and how you want God to receive you and how you want God to respond to you, it only comes through Jesus Christ and what He did on the cross. That's it. There's no other way. Let me tell you, peace is available to you. This is the good news. Jesus Christ did everything absolutely necessary. We're going to celebrate that Friday night in a very somber deal in a moment when we observe the Lord's Supper. Jesus Christ died for the sins of the world. He died for you so that you can have a relationship with God. It's that simple. And today, you can know Him. And in knowing Him, you can have peace. But then if you are here and you're a Christian and the same question applies, are you at peace? You know, it saddens Jesus when people who know Him don't know peace. When people who've placed their faith in Him, listen, He's not upset when the things in this life overwhelm us. He's upset, He's saddened, not mad, not frustrated, saddened when we're allowing the things of our life to overwhelm us to a point to where we can't function, to where they weigh upon us, and all we can think about is this problem in our life, when the reality is there is peace. Peace that passes all understanding. That's what, excuse me, that's the peace that He wants for you. And if you're here and you'd say, in your heart, you're thinking, no, I don't. And I know I should, but I don't. Well, here's the good news for you as well. He's not condemning you. He's inviting you. He's inviting you to know Him. He's inviting you to trust Him. He's inviting you to let go of whatever it is that you've been trying to hold on to create in your own life and follow Him. And you will know peace. Let's stand. We're going to bring our services to a close.